So, hello everyone. I'm Ryan Boyd, one of the founders of Free Animal Doctor, a animal welfare nonprofit, and we are lucky enough to have a good friend of ours, Dr. Mark Williams, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, along for some chats and talks that we're going to do. And we're starting off our first series, or first few. We're trying to go with just sort of broad topics, like flea control, diet, stuff like that. But we'll get into more serious things as the series goes on, or more specific things, specific diseases and injuries. But for this video, we're going to talk about some basics about diet, maybe give you some ideas and some opinions from an actual doctor of veterinary medicine. So there's a lot of stuff out there on social media, a lot of opinions and anecdotes and stuff, and it's just good to throw an actual medical professional's opinion into the mix. We're not telling you any particular perspective or anything that you have to do. We're just providing that because there's so much on one side and it's good to get it from another. And Mark, how long have you been a vet?
I've been a vet for 31 years.
31 years. So that's a lot of darn experience right there, professional experience. You have your own practice?
I do. I have a four doctors work there, practice in northern LA County.
Fantastic. And you do a lot of large animals as well.
Yeah, we are a mixed practice, so we do dogs and cats as well as all kinds of things that live on ranches.
Oh, look at me. I'm not
Horses, cows. Ryan's about to drop the ceiling.
Yes, right.
Horses, cows,
I'm a
sheep,
cow
pigs,
over here.
all kinds of things.
Yeah. I've been out to your place. You definitely got they got the area to bring in the large animals. Although normally with large animals, I think you go out and visit them, right?
Right. We have trucks that are fully equipped to go out to the ranches.
There you go. So hey, quick question before we start. I like to throw in a fun question. What's your least favorite season? People always say, "What's your favorite season?" I want to know, what's your least favorite season?
You know, the problem in Southern California is after a series of 104 days, you get pretty worn out. So at the height of the summer it gets difficult to work outside on a regular basis.
So summer is your least favorite season.
But down on the beach and all that is glorious. So I think no matter where it depends on where you are.
But where do you live? You don't live down
I don't live down
near your practice, right? Yeah.
So there's plenty of days where I come home fairly roasted.
All right. So you'd be more excited about the winter. So you're gonna put summer as your least favorite.
Spring is gorgeous in Los Angeles. Fall is gorgeous. Winter is, even with all the rains we had this year, was still fun, but summer's kind of tough sometimes.
Summer. All right. Gotcha. All right. So least favorite season, summer. Fantastic. So let's segue roughly, difficultly. We'll make a jump into diets, especially we're talking doggies here. Our previous video that we just finished, we talked about fleas, which applies to dogs, cats, guinea pigs, rabbits, all your animals. But to talk about diet, I was just going to talk about a few diet trends and get a medical professional's opinion and insights there. And then also talk about a few of the things that really are poisonous for dogs, also cats and other animals, but there's a few surprising ones for dogs that people don't know about, or some people don't know. But well, let's start with those, because that's a good segue, and that's a good starting point, because it's useful for people. So a lot of you have probably heard, but it's good to get confirmation from Mark here. So grapes, they really are poisonous to dogs.
Yes, they can be fairly toxic in fairly small amounts.
I mean, dogs can actually die from eating grapes.
Yeah, they can develop some pretty serious GI as well as neurologic problems.
Okay. Small dog, how many grapes could conceivably be deadly?
It's a tolerance thing. That I think there are certain breeds of dogs that are very susceptible. There are certain mutt type breeds that are very tolerant. So
worst case,
I would say 4 or 5 grapes in a real susceptible breed. So
now you might be saying to yourself, well, dogs aren't going to eat grapes. I've seen them do it. But raisins, and especially if you think of candy-coated raisins, or raisins in like a trail mix that a dog just gets in and starts chomping all of it because there's other stuff in there. And so 4 or 5 raisins could actually be very harmful to a dog.
Potentially.
Yeah, okay. So no grapes and no raisins, everybody, absolutely. And then one, I think a lot of people have seen this on social media, but it bears repeating for people who don't know, is there's an artificial sweetener now that's become popular called xylitol.
Mm-hmm.
how do we spell that?
It's XYLITOL.
Very good. And xylitol, it actually, I know it kind of makes your gums feel good. They use a xylitol gum for sort of gum pain, chewing gum. But it is an artificial sweetener that for some reason dogs can't tolerate it, right?
Right, they can't metabolize it like they're supposed to.
So what does it do if they get into some of that?
It once again causes some GI problems and potentially some pretty serious neurologic problems as well.
Really? Okay. And I think the biggest threat that dogs will have with xylitol is it is used as an artificial sweetener in some peanut butters.
Yes.
Because it's low calorie.
If they get a hold of a piece of a xylitol gum,
okay,
all those kind of things.
Right. It's real popular in gums and chewing gums, but there are some peanut butters that use it. So anyway, watch out for the artificial sweeteners, xylitol. You don't want your dog getting that. And if your dog gets into xylitol or gets into grapes or raisins, that really is something you should take it to the vet right away. Yeah.
Especially if it's a pretty significant amount.
Okay. Because the reason I ask that is you hear so many different things. Like I've always heard dogs shouldn't have chocolate. And then I came home one time, we have a pit bull mix, and he had gotten into my wife's chocolate. She had like this whole, he'd eaten a big chocolate bar's worth of chocolate. And he didn't have any problem. Nothing ever happened. And then what that does is that makes me think like, well, how much of this stuff that I've read is actually bullcrap? Because he ate a whole chocolate bar. Right. He didn't even have diarrhea, let alone any other problem. And I was about ready to rush him to the vet because I'd heard like, oh my God, if you're, you hear these exaggerated stories, it's almost like, well, if your dog so much as looks at chocolate, he's going to fall over dead.
Right.
And what is it about chocolate? Is it just the caffeine?
It's a theophylline. It's like
theophylline.
Why dogs shouldn't drink coffee. Basically it's...
you ever see a dog at Starbucks? Well, yeah, you do actually, but okay.
Right, they aren't usually getting a vente.
Right.
I think it's theobromines, theophylline can cause some neurologic problems and all that. But it's, as Ryan says, if every Labrador that ever ate a candy bar, it was fatal to them, there wouldn't be many Labradors. Right. So I think you have to look at the kind of chocolate and the size of the dog.
Okay.
It's based on the amount of theobromine in it, so typically baking chocolate or dark, higher percentage cocoa, which dogs don't really want to eat either because it's very bitter. And also you have to look at the size of the animal as far as how much they're going to absorb.
So you're saying like your cheaper over-the-counter candy bar probably doesn't have that much.
Right, Hershey's candy bars don't have enough in it to cause much of a problem other than very, very small sensitive dogs. And that would probably be more GI from eating the chocolate and all that's in it besides what the active ingredients are.
I see. So what would you say? This would maybe be something useful. And of course this is all anecdotal. We can't, you have to do what you think is right in the situation. But I come home and my Basset Hound has chomped, the half of a chocolate bar that I left on the nightstand. But he's acting normal. Do I rush to the emergency vet or do I just walk? Okay.
We have people all the time that call us and say, well, my dog just ate 2 dozen Hershey's Kisses. And
right.
The bottom line is the aluminum wrapper on the Kisses is more harmful to the dog than the chocolate is.
Okay. So, and like another one I've heard is avocado. And then I've heard that really avocado itself is not in any way poisonous to a dog. It's that you don't want them to get the pit. And because that avocado pit's a big ball, people would like give it to the dog or throw it as a ball, and they bite it, they crunch it, and then they get those shards in their throat or in their intestines.
Right.
But giving your dog a slice of avocado, or he gets the avocado off your sandwich, or he eats some guacamole that you left, that's not a reason to rush your dog to the ER unless
they're showing some signs.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you would agree with that
but
too?
It's a very high density nutrient as far as the avocado flesh itself, and dogs that have exposure to quite a bit of avocado are known to have nice coats and to be too heavy because it's very easy for dogs to gain weight on it. But I think that's probably the biggest concern. It's just so calorie dense. But I think, avoiding the pit, avoiding the skin for some concerns there are the way to go.
Okay. So we have things like grapes or xylitol where you really need to take that seriously and probably go to the vet right away if your dog's consumed that. And then we have these other things where it's like calm down, unless something's happening, your dog's probably going to be okay. So avocado, not poisonous to dogs, just keep the pit away. And obviously, just like us, we eat too many avocado tacos, we get fat too.
And I think if you have a dog that's really a juvenile delinquent
right.
and eating all kinds of different things, getting a chart from one of the poison control centers or things like that, just so you have a quick and easy reference,
right.
would be a good idea, because there are some dogs, man, it's amazing the things they'll put in their mouth sometimes.
Right, yeah. I mean, you hear about it's like people say, my golden retriever when he was a puppy, he ate an answering machine, right? And he was fine. So I think he's, and so then it's like, well, I think he's going to be okay with grapes, but it turns out that grapes actually have this. What is it in the grapes?
I believe it's one of the phenols.
Phenols that actually really does cause a problem, and that same dog could die from a handful of raisins. So there we go. So grapes and xylitol, those are really serious ones. Any other ones, or ones for cats? Is it chrysanthemums cats can't?
Yeah, I mean, I think that cats will tend to eat some plants that won't be good for them.
Right.
Philodendrons, chrysanthemums, things like that, just because of their body size.
Okay.
But the biggest thing with cats is just the nutritional problems they have when people try and cut certain required nutrients out of their food.
Oh, like?
Taurine.
Ah, okay. And taurine is in
Is
what?
an amino acid, which is important. It's in flesh protein and things like that. It's the
vegan cats.
The people that try and feed their cats vegan cat food have to be really concerned that all the important vitamins and minerals and amino acids are in there that are capable of the cat maintaining metabolism.
Cat's a carnivore.
Yes, cats are much more strict carnivores than dogs are.
Great segue, because I was going to talk about these raw diets, which are quite popular right now, and a lot of people really, really like them. And you're not against them, but you have some advice and stuff to talk about. And well, when I say not against, you don't think that they're like terrible or anything. Although I think, did you say it might be a little silly or ridiculous?
I think you just need to have a lot more vigilance, because they are a bacterial infection waiting to happen if you're not storing them correctly and all that. I think there's a lot of publications and word of mouth and internet things as far as that try and really promote them for reasons they don't need to be. I think things like freeze-dried diet is not a raw diet. It is a cooked diet. It's just cooked in a different process. Okay. I think you have to be really cautious with your storage and the amount of time you do store a raw diet, just because the bacteria is going to really have a field day without the benefit of preservatives a lot more quickly than a commercial grade food. I think you also have to be really cautious and cognizant of having the diet cover the full nutritional spectrum as far as vitamins, minerals. In cats, taurine, the immediate amino acid, the perfect example.
Well, and you were saying something interesting to me earlier, so, and I hadn't thought about this. If you feed, and I'm thinking of dogs here, but it could be any animal, of course. If you feed a dog a raw diet, you're not, a lot of people think, will say, well, that's more natural because that's what they would eat as a wild creature. Now, of course, first of all, dogs have been domesticated for probably 10,000 years, certainly thousands of years, and have developed the ability to eat all kinds of people food, grains, and other things, which we'll talk about. But the thing that you said that I thought was really interesting, because I hadn't thought about it, if you give your dog, like, say, a chicken leg or chicken breast raw, or a piece of beef or whatever, that's a select part of the animal. They're not actually eating the whole animal. They're not eating the skin or that much of it, ligaments, hair, and so they're missing. I mean, when a wild animal eats an animal that it's caught, it's eating that whole animal. It's eating intestines and liver and ligaments and joints, and there's nutrition and other things in that an animal that's eating a selected raw diet from the grocery store is not getting. Am I
right? I mean,
going down
liver,
the right path
spleen,
there?
Heart tissue is full of vital nutrients that we often don't.
Yeah, you never. Where do you buy a spleen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't. Right. So if you're feeding a raw diet, you need to think about that. You were saying, what do you recommend to people that do raw diets? Vitamins?
It's a really good idea of adding a vitamin and mineral supplement to the diet. I mean, it does take away a little bit of your raw element, but it goes a long way to making the diet a lot more balanced.
Okay. So you wouldn't tell somebody don't do a raw diet, but you would say you need to do a little more planning and thought behind it than just giving them raw food.
Right. I tell people really proceed with caution.
Okay. And use a vitamin supplement if you do decide to do it.
Make sure it's well balanced.
Well balanced. Okay. Fantastic. And then let's talk a little bit real quick about the grain and grain-free, because there's a lot of stuff around that. my personal opinion, I think a lot of the grain-free stuff was kind of putting human stuff on it. Like, I see like dog foods all of a sudden now have blueberries in them because blueberries are a thing that people are eating because they're which is great. I eat blueberries all the time for that purpose, and that's why I like blueberries. But I'm like, dogs live for thousands of years without eating blueberries, and dogs definitely don't go out and pick blueberries. I mean, so I kind of see that as a trend or something. Dog food is not sold to dogs; it's sold to people, right? So okay, but having said that, what dogs can eat grains, right?
Right. I mean, dogs are facultative carnivores. They're not strict carnivores like cats. I mean,
So what's a facultative carnivore?
well, in the wild, they survive on all kinds of things that just aren't bolted down as long as they're not moving too fast.
Right.
If you go up in the hills here and look at the coyote poop, there's often a lot of juniper berries in it because they'll eat juniper berries at certain times of the year to survive.
So a wild canine type animal,
And
coyote.
And I think coyotes are a lot closer to dogs too, as far as what they can eat. But dogs have an amazing ability to process a variety of things. And
dogs can get nutrition from bread, right? They can eat bread.
And it's all in moderation.
My pit bull loves bread.
Right.
He goes crazy for bread.
And it's a great bulking agent too.
Okay.
But I think you have to be cautious. And Ryan and I talked about it multiple times. You get what you pay for. You need to really look at the quality of the food long term, because it's manufactured in a more proper situation. It has the best thing about it. They use better ingredients, so it's going to produce a better, healthy diet. And I think if you want to go to one of the other niche diets, the grain-free and things like that, you have to be very cautious because there are some problems with certain manufacturers, and the grain-free diets can actually cause more problems than they have caused benefits.
Thank you for saying that. I was going to say there's a big thing. A couple studies came out that said dogs that eat grain-free diets have a higher incident, I think, of some heart problems and other things, heart disease. But my understanding, and we've got a medical professional here, we've got a doctor of veterinary medicine to tell us this, my understanding is it's not that being grain-free was the problem, it's that this what they use to substitute for the grain in those particular products. So grain-free doesn't cause these issues, it's the foods that are grain-free because of the ingredients or the manufacturing process of those foods, if that makes sense. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think basically it's, you have to look at the manufacturing process. Some companies are very interested in high quality, good manufacturing techniques, proper measurements and things like that. Some other companies are not. They're more interested in marketing. How can we market this product to the maximum population?
Blueberries.
And that's a perfect example. Blueberries and grain-free is one of those too. But you have to look at if you aren't cautious with your ingredients and you're trying to make substitutions. I mean, the perfect example, if you can put a substitution in for, good quality grains or good quality meats in your diet, and you can save 5 to 10 cents a pound, that's millions of dollars when you're manufacturing hundreds of thousands of pounds of dog food. So that's something you have to be concerned about and get some good recommendations. And remember, you get what you pay for. The better diets have better quality ingredients, are more well balanced and more rounded, and are going to be much safer for your animals long term.
I'm picking up a theme here, which is you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
The medications
You got to be an informed consumer.
Now, speaking of that, so what would be the benefits of giving a dog grain-free diet? Why would somebody say, is it allergies?
Well, the thought was that basically the increase in allergies and allergic irritation is is due to grains in diets.
Okay. Just like with people.
More likely it's because dogs have been line bred or bred in very small genetic groups for a period of time. They have developed the sensitivity to the diets they've been exposed to. The corns, the oats, the chicken, the beef, even lamb, which used to be the allergy diet of choice. So you have to be cautious with really investigating the whole cause of why your dogs are having reactions like that, whether it's allergies or allergy associated to ear problems, and not just also try and not go to the cheaper, more efficient foods because you can run into problems there.
I see. So, if a vet recommends a grain-free diet to you, it's probably going to be because they're thinking that your dog has some sort of skin allergy or something, and that might help with it.
I mean, typically with documented allergy problems, we recommend what's called a novel protein diet. That's a protein and often grains as well that the dogs haven't been exposed to. Basically,
yeah, that's an interesting thing, because we'll explain that briefly, maybe we'll wrap up this video, because that's like dogs that are, say, allergic to chicken, right? And they get, like, I have a dog that is, and it's skin rash. We've been able to figure out that it was. And so the doctor says, give him some exotic protein, kangaroo, bison, fish, rabbit. And so what is it? They actually are allergic to the things that they are historically have eaten.
Right, they've developed allergic irritation to the protein composition of those common diet ingredients.
And that's genetic, like over time in breeding and whatever. Right. That's interesting. So it's actually giving them a protein that they're not used to, like that dogs haven't eaten. Okay.
Right, they haven't been exposed to.
All right. And so, yeah, you were saying rabbit is a pretty common one? Okay.
Bison is a common one. Kangaroo is, some of the whitefish diets and things like that.
That's what, exactly. We use Honest Kitchen, and that we started on it because they have a whitefish dehydrated food, and our Maltese did really well on that, and her allergies sort of went away.
Right.
And then I fed her some chicken, and really it came back. Like within 3 days, she was scratching.
Ryan was a bad person.
I was.
But that's the nice thing about dogs and cats, and especially dogs, because cats, the whole palatability finicky problem is a whole other issue. But with dogs, we can control their dietary intake, so we can control the food they eat, so we can go a long way if they have a food allergy in addition to any other allergies, in controlling those things as far as what they're intaking to kind of control their allergic irritation. I tell people allergies are not just one thing. They're more like a glass with water in it. Basically, as long as the water is below the lip of the glass, the dogs are tolerating and managing. If the allergy levels and the number of allergies they're exposed to makes the water go over the top of the glass, then you have a lot of that negative reaction, besides a wet napkin underneath the glass.
That's certainly, it makes sense, because it's true for me. I have a slight pollen allergy, probably most people do. But like here in Southern California, I don't have any problem. But I used to live in the Willamette Valley in Oregon, and farmers, I don't know if they still do, they would burn their fields and stuff in the summer. And for the first time in my life, I had terrible allergies certain times of the year up there. And it's just because the concentration was so heavy.
Right.
But anywhere else.
All the fruit tree pollen and all that. Sure.
So you take a dog and you just give it a whole bunch of chicken, or it has a chicken food and chicken this, and whereas it might be able to tolerate a small amount, you never know. Okay.
Right.
And I know what I was going to say. Just before we wrap up here, what do you, generally speaking, feed your dogs? You don't have to necessarily say brands, but just the style or the kibble. Do you make your own dog food?
Does a lot of. My wife is a show dog person. I hear the booze in the background. I know, but she likes it, and she's a very cautious, very healthy show dog person. But she does a lot of research. So we don't have any dog. Well, we have one dog that has an allergy problem, and it's fed whitefish and potato. But the rest of the dogs are fed a really good quality kibble with some chicken on it.
Okay.
And they do well.
So you sort of do what we do, because we do a lot of Honest Kitchen just because it's dehydrated, so you can make it as wet as you want to, and we have a dog that doesn't have teeth, and then with as I mentioned, the whitefish. And for the larger dog, I supplement it with I go to the grocery store. If I'm walking through the grocery store and they've got a pork loin that's on sale because it expires today, and it's marked down to like $1.99 a pound, I'll buy it. Take it home and either pop it in the freezer or cook it that day, and that'll be a supplement for him. And I also do some white rice and sweet potato.
Right.
And you're saying rice is okay for dogs as sort of a filler. They can get some nutrition out of that.
Right, and I've mentioned to Ryan before, the biggest concern I have there.
Oh yeah, you were talking about the dental issue.
Well balanced, but it's a very sticky diet, so you have to kind of probably up your game as far as dental health to accommodate the fact that
about
food is
canned
sticking
food
there.
Too, right?
Yeah, it's just like all canned food. You just have to be real concerned they're not agitating their mouths enough. They're building up a lot of plaque, so they're developing some problems there.
To summarize, if you didn't understand what he meant there, because we talked about this earlier, is with sticky foods, there's nothing wrong with it as far as their diet, their intestines, the nutrition, but dehydrated foods that you add water to, they're sticky. Rice is sticky. Sweet potato is sticky. Canned foods are sticky. They're just sticky, and it sticks on the teeth. And you just have to get it off their teeth. Brush their teeth or do whatever.
Make sure it's getting agitated. Sure.
Right, and they're getting it off because it'll stick and stick. And anything, just like people, if your food sticks on your teeth long enough, it is going to cause you some dental problems, a whole range of which we don't have to get into. But I think you can understand. So that's true. Dehydrated foods, canned foods, watch out for the stickiness, the rice and that sort of stuff. And so kibble's not as sticky, right? They kind of chomp it up.
Most kibble maintains a little more of a roughness to it and all that. So that is one advantage. It doesn't tend to stick to the teeth as well, and it has a little more roughage in their diet.
You know what? We'll end it on this. I see those dental chews from different brands. Do those actually have an effect of helping clean the teeth?
I think the dogs that really chew them and agitate them through their mouth, they can be effective. The dogs that their idea of chewing a treat is swallowing it,
right?
That's not going to be as well.
So it's the chewing and breaking it up and getting it on there. So that brings me to do bones help with that?
There's a lot of people that recommend using big knuckle bones and letting dogs gnaw on them. I think you have to be cautious and limit the time because dogs can literally wear out their teeth.
You know what? We're going to have to do a segment on bones,
and
because that's a whole topic, and there's different bones that are good and bad. How long they chew them. How much bone they should consume, because my dogs, if they eat a lot of bone and then all of a sudden they've got these really hard poops, But you know what? That's going to be a topic for another time because we've done the diet thing here. So in summary, watch out for xylitol as an artificial sweetener. That is really poisonous, even could kill your dog. Grapes as well, a weird, strange one, but watch out. Don't give them grapes, and raisins is going to be the place that's going to go. But most of those other foods you've heard about, your dog's probably going to tolerate. You don't need to freak out because your dog ate a Hershey's Kiss, most likely. Obviously, if you notice something going on, then you do want to take them to the vet. And raw diets, just some concerns there, things to think about. They're not as natural as you might think because you're feeding them select parts of the meat. You're not, they're not getting most of you, some of you maybe, sorry, I don't want to speak for everybody. Most of you aren't giving the dog a whole chicken to eat, right? You're giving him select cuts. And the stickiness on the food. And what else were we saying? Anything else on there?
And I think be cautious with the raw diets because they are a lot more prone to bacterial buildup.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, you got to be real.
And as well as making sure they're balanced.
Hey, you know what? That's what we'll end on. This will be the last one, I promise. Salmonella is a big deal for people, right? With chicken especially. And what's the one in pork that people get?
Trichinella.
Trichinella. Is that a similar concern with dogs? Do they tolerate it better than people? Because people will tell me dogs don't get salmonella poisoning. They can handle it. People, but I don't know if that's true. If people, anyway, you're the doctor.
I think once again, it kind of depends on the animal and the situation.
Okay.
There are certain dogs that they eat amazing things and don't take a bad step. There are other dogs that have very sensitive stomachs. Big, tough, brawny Rottweilers tend to have very sensitive stomachs. So I think you have to look at that situation too.
Okay. So there are dogs that could be just as sensitive to salmonella as a person.
Or E. coli, or some of the other facultative anaerobes that grow in spoiled food.
Okay. And so, so be cautious with that with the raw diet because you might say, oh no, my dog, he ate raw chicken, he never had any problem with it, I'm going to give it to this other dog, but the other dog might really have a sensitivity and get sick. And salmonella poisoning can be pretty serious.
Right.
And trichinella
can be
really
and things like that. It can initiate a lot of long-term dysfunction problems as far as in the dog's colon.
All right. Fantastic. Well, thanks, Mark. Good to know. Least favorite season is summer. We're opposites. I think my least favorite is winter. That's because I love the idea of summer because the long days.
That's right.
And winter, the days are getting shorter. It's sort of fall into winter. It's fall, I guess, is what I don't. Fall is my least, because every day the days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And I love it when the days are getting longer. Every day you wake up, the day's longer, But also, I don't live out in the high desert where it's 110 on a good day.
In my job, the winter days are 8-hour work days. Summer days are 12 to 16-hour work days.
Why is that?
Just because there's more work to do because it's longer days.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. We got good timing. The dogs are starting to yap, so we're going to round this up.
The is on it.
Exactly. So thanks, everybody. We're going to take off. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. The doggies are starting to yap, so we're going to wrap this one up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Thanks, Mark.
Take care.